Hi, I'm John and welcome back to my Lair of Action Figures, where I'll be talking and reviewing action figures from different manufacturers. Today we're going to be having a look at another G.I. Joe Classified series figures. This is of course number 123 in the line of the Classified series, and this is Torch. Now as you can see, I've already put the box down here so you can see the front part of it and you can see the back part, so I won't need to turn it over because I always have one that I keep mint in box and the one that I open for my private collection. Well, both are for my private collection. Now let's have a closer look at the history about Torch. Let's talk about this figure and let's see what are the good points and what are the bad points. Now let's start by the history of this figure. So this is my mint in box Torch from back in the days, from 1985. Now, the very funny part about this figure, now in 1985, for any G.I. Joe fans will know that Hasbro included a new neck joint that you could bend the head forward and backwards. This figure doesn't have it. It looks more like a figure from 1982 to 1984. So this is a bit of a surprise that all the Dreadnoks did not get this upgrade. I'm kind of wondering if these figures were not supposed to come out before. Also, another thing who's very funny about these figures, these are the only figures, and the first figures, if I'm not mistaken, who, as you can see, the guys from New South Wales and Australia. The same thing goes for Whipper, but he's from Tasmania, and Buzzer is from the UK. So it was very funny seeing that in the G.I. Joe American Hero line, we had figures coming from out there. Of course, we got some later on, but mostly on the Cobra side, I believe these were the only ones who were not American versions of it. Now, these were added as Dreadnoks to the enemy. They belong with Zartan. So that's mostly what they are. You could see in the cartoons they were portrayed as a bit buffoons and not very smart and doing stuff very sillily. Comic books had them portrayed a bit differently, but I thought they were a fun add to the G.I. Joe series, and I don't mind them. Now, knowing that for us who grew up in Europe, this figure was the only Dreadnok who was not available in Europe. We got Buzzer and we got Whipper, but we never got Torch. So I never had the occasion to have him as a kid. So this is something who's also a bit surprising, between the difference between Hasbro Europe and Hasbro, what they were deciding, what figures they should bring into the line. Now, of course, we're going to be taking a closer look at the figure. Of course, like I said, this is the one that I have from my collection. As you can see, this is the figure. We get his backpack, we get his flamethrower, we get a hose, we get two pistols, and we get some fire effects for the flamethrower. So, I know that doesn't seem very much for a figure who is sold for €24.99 or 29 euros. So yes, it does seem a bit light. Personally, I think when you compare it to what came out in 1985, the figure looks really pretty neat. I like the fact that they added some tattoos on this figure. I think they really did a good job of recreating. Now, something was funny. I'll be talking about it more when I'll be reviewing Whipper and Torch. Not Torch, I mean Buzzer. The sunglasses do not come off of this figure. Now, of course, can understand it would have been very hard to do it. He has a necklace, not much tattoos, but the original one didn't have any tattoos. There's a few nice little details with the flame tattoos, the flames on his jeans. I mean, overall, figure looks pretty neat and really gives this vibe of the Dreadnoks did have. So let's gear him up and let's talk a bit about the figure. What are my thoughts? Do I believe this is going to be a collectible item or not? So let's have a look at all of that now. Now, do I believe that this figure has a bit of a high value collectible? Of course, I think that there's a certain interest for the Dreadnoks due to the fact that Hasbro has given a lot of love to these guys here. And I think that is something that is really nice to have some of these figures out there. Now, of course, I like the packaging because everybody knows that I'm a huge sucker for those blister cards and not the other ones. But again, I believe this figure will be coming out at a later date in the retro line and have a similar card as the one that I've shown you over here. Now let's get this figure up. The hands are pretty tight, and as you can see with the bendy, how do you call it, bendy weapons, it puts it really hard to slip in these weapons and have a tendency of popping out. So let's give him up and let's show off a bit the figure. Now, something who's very funny on this figure, and I think it's an interesting idea, is putting these little flames at the end of this skull, who looks like it was taken from Darth Maul or Savage Opress from the Star Wars universe. So as you can see, you should need to put this in this way, or you can decide to put more of a flame. I'm going to put it in this way, or you can have it if it's on like standby mode. So as I said, I think this figure has a certain interest. I can't remember, I think it is already sold out on the European website of Hasbro Pulse, and the only way you can get it in Europe. As you can see, it really looks good, but overall I think the figure itself is not so bad, so I would say it does have some collectible value. Now, if I have to give it a note out of 10, I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10. I mean, they did a pretty good job. The only reason why I would be giving it a 9 out of 10 and not a 10 out of 10 is because I believe Hasbro should have given us an extra little part for this. I think this part should be able to be pulled out, so that when you want to put it on his backpack, because the weapon is planned to go on the backpack, you're going to put it in over here. As you can see, it fits neatly in, holds in place. Now, if you want to be really logic about it, if these are real flames, I mean, he's going to have a hell of a tan over here with the flames coming out. So if Hasbro would have put a little part without the flames that you could clips in, clips out, this figure would have been a 10 out of 10. So that's going to be it for the review of my Torch figure here. If you liked it, please leave a like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps out a lot. If you want to go and see some of the pictures, I have in the link. You can go and see my Instagram page or my Facebook page, where I talk about news and where I also talk about and put up my pictures. So I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!